If you're thinking about switching your dogs over to the farmer's dog, this long-term review is for you. I live in Denver where dogs outnumber children, and our dogs have been eating this food since 2021. In this video, I'm going to cover what's worked and what I've learned since I started them on the farmer's dog over 1,000 meals ago. Make sure to keep watching because I'll share a bunch of things that we didn't know before we started with this food, and I also have a few ways for you to save money on it because we all know that life is expensive right now. No wasting time with an unboxing or anything, we're just going to get right into the real stuff. If you watch and decide to give this a go, there's a link in the description that'll get you 50% off your first box so your dogs can try it out, and chances are high that they're gonna love it. Let's get into this video. It's not cool to bury the lead, so I'm just gonna say it. All three of our dogs love their food. Hands down, this is the biggest reason why we've stuck with this food for as long as we have. Our oldest dog has had pretty much every kind of dog food over the course of his 13 years of life. Our puppy has eaten pretty much nothing but the farmer's dog his whole life, and our middle dog, who is our best dog, is somewhere right in the middle. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you're looking for a healthy dog food that your dogs will eat without any tricks. 2 out of 3 of our dogs can be really picky, and this has been by far the easiest way to get them to both eat the same food. Historically, these 2 dogs will get tired of their food in about 6 months to a year, and we've done dry food, dehydrated, wet food, raw food, we've done it all. Whatever kind of food it is, one day they'll just be done with it. But after all of these farmer's dog meals, twice a day, every day, over 1,000 meals, they're still all about it. I had a lot of people comment on a video I made like a year ago talking about how their dogs are really excited about eating again and how happy that makes them. And honestly, that makes me really happy because feeding a picky dog can be really stressful. Lately, our 13-year-old, very loved poodle, his nose is not the food magnet that it once was, so we'll get the smells going with his food by putting a little bit of hot water from the faucet into his bowl with his food, and then he just dives right in. Also, he has exactly 4 teeth at this point in his life, and it's surprisingly easy for him to eat. So if your dog has single-digit teeth, they'll be good with this because all the meat and veggies are really soft and there's no kibble or pellets in there that require a lot of crunching. Out of the 30 or so boxes that we've gotten, only 2 have arrived late, and I'm gonna tell you why that's surprisingly okay. For my 2 late orders, one was weather-related and another was some kind of weird FedEx mix-up of some kind. In both cases, the box arrived before my buffer of food ran out, and somehow all of the food still arrived frozen. One of those orders literally arrived 6 days after it shipped, and somehow every single pack was still frozen. I was really surprised. Granted, I live in Colorado and it was winter, so the box was probably sitting in some cold places, but it was pretty nuts. By the way, this food is good for months in the freezer and 4 days once it's thawed in your refrigerator. Once you get your box, as long as 1 pouch is partially frozen, you're good to go. Not only has every single pouch arrived frozen, I've also never had a single pouch leak. So that's 500 for 500, a true 100% success rate. Shout out to whoever designed this packaging. So a late box is pretty rare, but there are 2 ways that they make this not that stressful. Starting from your first order, there's a buffer of a few days built in, and that buffer is good because things happen. Crazy weather, driver shortages, holidays. If the past few years have taught us anything, it's that there are just some things that are out of your control. And if you know that you have trouble with packages where you live, you can also make your buffer a little bit bigger just to be safe. Second, they'll proactively contact you if your box has not arrived in its expected time frame so that they can get another box out to you ASAP. Their system is on a different level where they might tell you that a box hasn't arrived before you even realize it, which is awesome. Remember to check out that link in the description so you can get 50% off your first box, and I'm almost positive that it'll show up right when you expect. Because we've previously fed our dogs raw patties, and the farmer's dog is not raw, by the way, the cost of this food was never a really big shock to us. It was actually pretty comparable. But let's remember that all 3 of our dogs add up to about 50 pounds now that Grumpy has gotten bigger. So it costs us about $200 for 3 weeks of food for all 3 dogs. In general, we've always been big believers in spending a little bit more on what our dogs eat every day in hopes of spending less at the vet. Let's be real, money matters and everybody does this differently. Since our dogs have been eating the farmer's dog, we don't don't have any allergies, skin things, stomach issues, no daily medications, and all 3 dogs are at a healthy weight. From our sample size of 3, I think that our dogs have been really healthy with this food. And I totally get that some of you out there have one dog that outweighs all 3 of our dogs combined, and it's not cheap to feed them because they eat a ton of food. If cost is an issue, I have a few friends with bigger dogs that just mix the farmer's dog in with another food of choice, and that can absolutely work for smaller dogs too. If you want to try this out but need something that works a little better with your budget, shoot them an email and see if they can work something out for you. Because they customize things for your dog, they can be pretty creative. And I've mentioned this in other videos, but a lot of people ask me which proteins our dogs prefer. Our dog's favorite is beef, and chicken is a close second. Turkey and pork are also available, and you can get up to 3 recipes in each box. Since a lot of dogs have protein allergies, I think that this is a big plus. Turkey is honestly probably the most visually appealing of the 4, but this isn't really about me because I'm not eating it. I have thought about trying it, but I'm good for now. You can just get what works for your dog, and you're never forced into like a variety pack situation. And if your dog isn't into a recipe, or you find that they have allergies, they will ship you a different recipe until you find the one that your dog likes best. I promise your dog will enthusiastically help you figure this out, probably in 2 orders max. Also, a big plus for us, the chicken recipe was recently updated, and it was actually very noticeable because it smells way better for humans. And I'm not over here trying to hate on the previous recipe, but our 2-year-old son always thought that it was stinky, and it also retained more water than the beef recipe after thawing. That being said, our dogs liked it just fine, and they still licked their bowls clean every single time. This new version is just a big upgrade in both smell and consistency for humans, and I do think that our dogs might actually like it more than they like the original recipe. If you've had a few dogs in your life, chances are you've done some kind of supplement with their food at some point, whether that's vitamins, omega-3s, or some kind of special daily treat. With the farmer's dog, at least 50% of every recipe is meat and organs, and then there are vegetables and fiber, like sweet potatoes and chickpeas, that you'll see in the bowl. The vegetables and stuff are great for nutrition, but I'm pretty sure the meat brings all the dogs to the bowl. And before we started with this food, I actually didn't know that the farmer's dog has human-grade fish oil and supplements already in the food. So if you've done supplements before with your dogs, this can actually really help simplify things when you're feeding them. We absolutely used to have that fish oil dispenser by our dogs' bowls. It was super messy, and we never went through it fast enough, so we'd end up throwing half of it away after it expired. With this, I just put the food in the bowl, put it down, and I don't think about it. It's just nice because the farmer's dog takes care of making complete, balanced meals for the dogs, and all I have to do is remember to thaw the food and feed them. That's it. I can honestly say that this has given me hours of my life back because I don't sit there at 1 a.m. Googling supplements or learning about the difference between fish oil and salmon oil. And thawing the food in the refrigerator is really easy. I still recommend thawing the food for a full 24 hours instead of overnight, just to make sure that it's 100% thawed. I do live at about 6,000 feet of altitude, so that's probably a factor, but that's what's worked best for us. Depending on how much food your dog eats, you might put the rest of the pouch in a container for their next meal, or you might have a dog who just eats the whole thing. There's no microwaving and there's really no prep. And if you forgot to put a pouch in the refrigerator the night before, don't worry about it. Just thaw it with some water under the faucet, and you really don't have to thaw it that much for most dogs. Our dog Grumpy loves himself some ice cubes, so if your dog does too, they're really not going to care if your busy schedule or forgetfulness left them with some food that's a little bit frozen. Now, if the cost of the farmer's dog is an issue for you, which I totally get, here are some tips to save you some money. The easiest way to save money on this food is to have your orders include more packs of food. This totally makes sense because the farmer's dog is saving money on shipping and passing that savings on to you because the boxes are heavy. Personally, I find ordering large boxes to actually be easier to manage if you've got the freezer space for it. For us, we get about 19 days of food, and that makes each pack about 20% cheaper compared to if we only got 7 days of food at a time. When each box costs us about $200, that's a big savings on food. Another way to save is just to use that link in the description to get 50% off your first box. Not only is your order cheaper from the jump, but if your dog doesn't love the recipes that you ordered, they can get another one until they really find one that they love, and that's what a lot of this is all about. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you're just looking for a dog food that your dog will actually love, and if you've thrown away or donated dog food in the past because your dog doesn't like it, that's a big waste of money. Getting food that you're sure your dogs will like helps you avoid wasting money and saves you time going to the pet store. I mentioned this earlier, but you can mix this in with another food. If you've got a dog that's not really interested in eating in general, just a little bit of this with their existing food can completely change the smell game for them. And if your situation ever allows you to switch your dogs over 100%, they'll have a really quick transition because they already know the food. The farmer's dog has been a great fit for our dogs, and over 1,000 meals later, they still love it, and I think that they're healthier because of it. I've made older videos about the farmer's dog and our experience with it, and you can check those out in the description. And if your dogs already eat this food and you're just watching this video for fun, feel free to add anything that I might have missed to the comments for people who are doing their research. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you find the right food for you and your pups.